Ford's got an all-new baby pickup truck. Should you be interested in it? Let's find out. Everything's bigger in America, including our pickup trucks. Even so-called mid-size options like the Ford Ranger and Toyota Tacoma are still pretty massive. That's why Ford has introduced this new vehicle, the 2022 Ford Maverick. It's a genuinely small pickup truck with some very interesting drivetrain options, and it's unlike any pickup truck we've seen in years. Let's find out what the new Maverick is all about. So let's start off with the obvious question. What is a Maverick? It's a new compact class of pickup truck that's going to sit below the Ranger in Ford's lineup. There's only one other vehicle that this directly competes against, the Hyundai Santa Cruz, which also came out earlier this year. Now I'm going to give you a good idea of how big the Maverick actually is. It stretches 199.7 inches from front to back. Now that's about 11 inches shorter than the Ford Ranger and about 32 whopping inches shorter than a Ford F-150 Super Crew. It's still a rather large vehicle when you compare it to an SUV. It's about an inch longer than a mid-size Ford Explorer. Here at the back, we have a 4.5-foot bed with a 1,500-pound payload capacity. Ford says that's enough to carry 37 40-pound bags of mulch, so if you need to carry 38 bags, you might want to opt for a bigger truck like the Ranger or the F-150. Now you might not think that a 4.5-foot bed is enough space, but if you drop down the tailgate, it will extend out to 6 feet, which Ford says is enough to carry the average size ATV. There's also a really cool multi-position tailgate here, so you just go ahead and lift these little pieces right here, and you can actually drop the tailgate into sort of a mid-level position so you can carry longer items. And there's more cool stuff inside the bed. The Maverick gets Ford's new flex bed, which allows owners to divide up the space using 2x4s and 2x6s. In terms of towing, because I know that's important to truck owners, the base hybrid model, more on that later, can pull about 2,000 pounds. Now the larger engine can tow up to about 4,000 pounds if you opt for an optional package, which roughly allows you to tow a 21-foot boat. Here on the interior of the Maverick, we aren't expecting this to be as luxurious as something like an F-150, given the size and the overall price point, but I'm really not disappointed in how the Maverick's cabin is laid out. It's actually quite nice in here. Ford kept things pretty simple in here. We do have a lot of hard plastic materials, but they've contoured them and shaped them in quite a way that I think everything looks very attractive in here. The one we're currently sitting in is the Lariat trim, which gets us these brown leather seats. We have brown accents and sort of like a blue contrast. I think it all looks quite nice. The base model doesn't look that nice, but the XLT, which is the middle level, I think looks really cool. It's got some really premium cloth seats available on that mid-level model, so you really don't feel like you're getting a cheapy truck, even though it's not that expensive. This one that we're in being the fully loaded Lariat trim, we do have some nice touches. We have a leather steering wheel. The armrest is leather, even on the base model, which is quite nice. This 8-inch touchscreen that you see right here, that's standard on all Mavericks, which is quite nice. It's Ford's older Sync 3 system, so you do have to plug in your phone to get Android Auto or Apple CarPlay instead of having it be wireless like on the newer Sync 4 system, but it's nice that that screen is standard even on the sub $20,000 base model. Let's wrap up here on the back seat of the Maverick, where you shouldn't expect this to be as big as your F-150 or your Ranger, but it's not really bad in here. They've maximized the space quite well. I'm about 5'8", 5'9", and you can see I have a decent amount of knee room left and a decent amount of headroom as well. I definitely want to talk about Ford's coolest innovation back here, which is the Ford Integrated Tether System, or FITS for short. Basically, what it is just this very basic little slot right here that Ford imagines owners will 3D print their own accessories for, or they're going to sell some of them through the dealer network. Ford's given me some really fun ideas of what you could do with it. You could turn it into a trash bin, you could use grocery hooks, cup holders, a phone holder, basically whatever you want, so you can have a fun time time swapping out different accessories and deciding what's most useful for you to use in that slot. In terms of practicality back here, Ford has, again, been very clever. They give you a ton of space here on the door for basically 3 large water bottles. Now, they've done this by taking the speaker out of the door because it is quite large, and they've actually moved it up here onto the C-pillar. I've never seen an automaker do that before. And finally, you do get some storage area underneath the rear seats. You can lift them up from either side. You'll see that you have a really deep space in there that you can fit a lot of stuff into, and you can buy little dividers so your smaller objects won't roll around. I think this is a perfect feature to store your valuables when you're parking in, let's say, an urban city. Now, as we get the Maverick out on the road, now is a great time to remind everybody to like and subscribe to our channel. Oh, and hit the notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. And if you're more of a reader and you prefer to look at our written articles, be sure to check out carbuzz.com, where you can read our full write-up on the 2022 Ford Maverick. But now, let's get back to the video. So the Maverick's going to launch with 2 engine options, and I really want to talk about the base option first, which is what we have here. It's a 2.5 liter Atkinson cycle 4-cylinder engine, no turbos or anything like that, but it is mated to a hybrid system. That's right, Ford has actually decided to make the hybrid the base powertrain option here on the Maverick. Together with the hybrid system and the motor together, you're going to get 191 horsepower and 155 pound-feet of torque, although Ford says the 155 pound-feet torque number is just from the engine. It doesn't factor in the hybrid motor, since the two don't really work in tandem at the same time. Now, that's not a lot of power for a truck, of course, but keep in mind, the Maverick is pretty light. It only weighs about 3,700 pounds in its heaviest configuration. Now, all of that power is going to go to the front wheels only on the hybrid. You can't get all-wheel drive on the hybrid, at least not yet, through a continuously variable transmission. And I'm sure some truck fans out there might laugh at a truck with the CVT, but I actually really like it. It's very smooth. It delivers power great. You put your foot on the throttle and you really get great access to the power, what there is of it, more so than you would if this car had a conventional transmission. And you might be laughing at the fact that it has a CVT, but you won't be laughing at the fuel economy. We don't have official EPA numbers yet, but Ford says you should average at least 40 miles per gallon during normal city driving in the Maverick Hybrid. And just so you know that that is not like a false statement, I drove this car for about an hour through some city traffic driving, and I averaged almost 51 miles per gallon. Good luck getting that in any other pickup truck currently on the market. And I really love how this drivetrain is deployed. The CVT is great. You can really just go relaxed on the throttle, and if you coast enough or you drive with a light enough foot, you can actually ride the electric motor up to some pretty decent speeds and creep along only on electric power, which is a really serene feeling. Now, when you put your foot down and you floor it, you notice that this truck is not very fast with the hybrid drivetrain, but it is pretty quiet. This engine does not make a lot of noise. Now listen, I know that this hybrid drivetrain is not going to be for everybody. There are going to be some people out there that would prefer to just have more power. They don't really care about the fuel efficiency, and they want to tow a little bit more than the 2,000 pounds offered on this hybrid model. Well, luckily, Ford does offer an optional drivetrain. That's going to be what we've just hopped into. This is the Maverick with the 2-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder, and EcoBoost obviously means it's got a big old turbocharger on it, actually a little turbo in this case, but it does provide big power, or at least much more than what you're going to see in the Maverick Hybrid. 250 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque. Now those are pretty good numbers, and all of that power goes out to an 8-speed automatic transmission, not a CVT like we see on the hybrid model. And unlike the hybrid model, which is front-wheel drive only, you can get the Maverick EcoBoost in front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, which is what we have here. This is the same engine and transmission that you're going to see on the top trim Bronco Sport, and I definitely think it feels more punchy than the hybrid. I'm gonna go ahead and put my foot down. Quick response from that 8-speed automatic. We definitely have gobs of power and torque that come on very well. I think that the engine is a little bit groany when you really push it hard, but I don't think that's what a lot of people are gonna be doing with their Mavericks. So if you're looking for the more powerful option, the Maverick with the EcoBoost is the one you're going to want to get, although you do pay a substantial penalty in terms of your fuel economy. Whereas the hybrid model should get around 40 mpg in the city, the Maverick with the EcoBoost is not going to do quite as well. Ford has it rated at 23 mpg in the city, 30 on the highway, and 26 combined. That's with front wheel drive, or if you get all wheel drive like we have here, 22 in the city, 29 on the highway, and 25 combined. I'm averaging about 20 mpg, but I was sitting in traffic for a while, so I'll give Ford a pass. I think you probably could get close to their EPA rated fuel economy. And we have the Maverick out here on this really bendy pass. I really love this road. It's great. I wish I was driving a sports car, but honestly, the Maverick has surprised me with its driving manners. Because this is a unibody, not a big body on frame truck, it handles a lot like you'd expect a small to mid-size SUV to handle. The steering is very quick. It feels very direct on center. It feels a little bit less direct when you get it off center, but I can definitely feel what the front end is doing. And unlike a lot of other pickup trucks which feel very large and very vague on a road like this, I actually can have a little bit of fun playing around with the Maverick. Now the tires are not really doing me any favors here on a road like this, but I will say that you will enjoy driving the Maverick on a back road like this. It definitely doesn't feel cumbersome like a big truck like an F-150 and even a smaller truck like the Ford Ranger. So if you are looking for a pickup truck that drives a lot more like a car, the Maverick might be the closest to that I've ever driven, even more so than a Honda Ridgeline. So now that we've driven both versions of the Maverick, let's go ahead and pull over so that we can talk about pricing. Pricing the Maverick is pretty simple because there are only 3 very easy to digest trim levels, and each one is available as either the base hybrid powertrain or the gas EcoBoost. You'll pay just under $20,000 for the base Maverick XL Hybrid, making this the least expensive pickup truck and the least expensive hybrid on the market. Stepping up to the EcoBoost engine on any of the trim levels adds $1,085. There is an XLT model right in the middle that I think is a very good value, and for the top Lariat trim, you'll spend at least $25,000 to $26,000, and you can add all-wheel drive to that. Now, if you go all out and you get a Lariat with the first edition and the FX off-road package, you can spend almost $40,000 on a Maverick. So that was the 2022 Ford Maverick. We really hope you've enjoyed this video review, and if you want to learn even more information on the Maverick, like pricing and trim breakdowns, be sure to check out carbuzz.com. As always, be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, hit the notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos, and of course, subscribe. It really goes a long way to helping out our channel. I'll see you next time.